Good morning. The governor's on his way in with our guest of honor. You can imagine where the governor will be sitting and where our guest of honor will be sitting. Good morning, everybody. Again, I'm Nate Hardy. I'm the Secretary of Revenue. And on behalf of the governor, who will be here shortly on his way in, I want to welcome you to this community conversation about Amendment 2 and the state's personal income tax, both very, very important subjects. Let me tell you about a little journey between the governor and I. I started as Secretary of Revenue. Before that, is Commissioner Bloom here?
Yes.
Right here. I was a commissioner for 16 years in Mon County, and I loved every minute of it. It's the best job you can have. And I really hated to leave that job, but the governor asked me to join him as Secretary of Revenue in January 2017. So we got there together and we sat down to get our briefing on the state's finances, and we got quite a surprise. The first report they handed us was fiscal year 17 report, and I saw red ink. And as a CPA, I thought, this is not good, but you don't have to be a CPA to know red ink's bad. And the report said for the fiscal year 17, we were halfway through it, we were $217 million in the hole. And I thought, wow, bad stuff. Then the next report that our budget director handed us, was for fiscal year 18. And we were projected to be $497 million down additionally for fiscal year 18. So the first 5 minutes I was on the job with the governor, we realized the state of West Virginia was in a $700 million plus deficit position when we arrived. And now I want to fast forward you, been there 5.5 years now, let me fast forward you to June 30th of 2022. One of the greatest days in West Virginia financial history. We closed our books, we kept totaling the numbers, and our final tally was West Virginia for fiscal year 22 posted a $1,308,000,000 surplus. And the governor's not here yet, but let's give ourselves a round of applause for that. West Virginia is doing well. Our finances grew, our revenue grew last year at a 22% increase. And for the first quarter of fiscal year 23, our revenues have grown by 28%. The governor said to us, I want to cut taxes. What can we do? And we did our research. And here's what we found. There are, of course, 50 states. 9 of our 50 states don't have a state income tax. And these are states that many of us have traveled to. Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Nevada. Many of us have been to Nevada. Then, of course, you have Alaska, South Dakota, Wyoming. They don't have a state income tax. And what we found was that the states that do not have a state income tax in the last decade have grown their populations twice as fast as the national average. Then, further icing on the cake, those states have grown their economies at a 56% faster pace than the other 41 states. Then we started looking at the latest research. And the latest research is all about telework. And telework is not the future, it's the now. We all know that the American economy and the world economy, one of the legacies of the pandemic is the rise of telework. Teleworkers, and you really didn't need a study to show this, but the studies do show this. It's kind of common sense. Teleworkers want quality of life, like we have in our beautiful state of West Virginia, and they can go anywhere because they work out of their homes. So they generally want to locate where taxes are lower. No surprise there. And you see that in the Eastern Panhandle already. When you go up to the Eastern Panhandle, you see a lot of people that have moved there from Maryland because there's such a difference in West Virginia's tax base, or West Virginia's tax burden versus Maryland. So we added all that up, and the governor said, I want to start a plan to eliminate West Virginia's state income tax. And he called a special session of the legislature in July, and we introduced a bill that would have immediately cut our state income tax by 10% for this year, 2022. You say, well, 10% is not much. 10% is a lot. It's $271 million. Would have gone right back into all of us West Virginians' pockets. And we all know what would have happened to that $271. It would have been spent, for the most part, in West Virginia. It would have continued to stimulate our economy. The House of Delegates loved the plan. They passed the plan in one day, back in July. Much to the governor's surprise, the West Virginia State Senate refused to vote on the plan or even take up the plan or debate it. So the plan, for now, did not pass, which meant we had a chance to cut taxes by $271 million. We were not able to get it done. Why did the state Senate vote or not vote on the plan, would not hear it? It's because of Amendment 2. Now let me tell you about Amendment 2. I love history. In November of 1932, which will be 90 years ago next month, the people of West Virginia voted to put in the state constitution. Keep in mind, all changes to the state constitution have to be voted on by the people, not the legislature, the people. Voted that the property tax revenue, personal and real property taxes that we all pay to our county assessors, that those taxes remain with the counties and the cities and the school boards. That is baked in the West Virginia Constitution. That is a guaranteed revenue stream that those dollars stay local. The West Virginia legislature has put on the ballot, starting today, because early voting starts today, have put on the ballot for this election an amendment to the West Virginia legislature called Amendment 2. Amendment 2 says that the property tax revenue will no longer be guaranteed to the counties. It gives the legislature the option of capturing the property tax revenue. And the legislature has said we're going to do the following. We're going to receive the revenue that used to belong to the counties, and then we are going to, through our budget every year, budget those monies back to the counties and the cities and the school boards. Doesn't sound too bad, does it? I'm talking over $500 million statewide. Somewhere between $500 and $550 million will now be in the hands of the West Virginia legislature, when under our Constitution, it has been guaranteed to local governments. Well, what's the bad idea here? The bad idea is you are now going to have to go to the legislature every year, forever, and ask the legislature to budget your money back to you. And then the governor, of course, would have to also agree and sign that budget in order for the counties, cities, and school boards to get their revenue back. Now, think about the difference. Guaranteed money for 90 years, nobody can touch it, or money allocated by the legislature going forward. Let me tell you about the West Virginia legislature and the West Virginia budget. The West Virginia budget is very challenging. It has all the challenges that you would expect it has. Things like Medicaid, pay raises for state employees, cost of jails, the corrections, national disasters, statewide disasters, federal matching funds, highways, all the above. There are a lot of strains that are put on the West Virginia state budget. 10 years ago, our budget was so underwater that the legislature had to go to the West Virginia Rainy Day Fund and get $162 million just to balance the state budget. So if anybody here would think, oh, don't worry, those bond dollars will always come back to Mon County, you're being naive. You're not looking at the big picture. The West Virginia legislature is always going to have to try to budget the state's needs. And now you're asking them, if you vote for Amendment 2, to budget your needs. We all know how this is going to end. Sooner or later, there will be a time when we don't have surpluses, or we have something bad happen, and the state's budget downturns, because it always does. And then you will be down in Charleston, you being the counties, the school boards in the cities, with your trick-or-treat bag out in your hand, saying, please give us our money back. Also, what about control? Do you want the legislature in Charleston to control you through the purse, or do you want to have local control? You know, one thing I always liked about being a county commissioner was I knew when someone dialed 911, we were responsible, we being the county commission, that Metro 911 center was right. We were responsible to the people that the EMS folks were ready to go with state-of-the-art ambulance and equipment. We were responsible when the local police departments, the volunteer fire departments, needed to come to your door. And we took great pride in that. We knew we had a revenue source guaranteed to provide that. Don't put yourself in a situation where you, Commissioner Bloom, have to answer for a mistake when you didn't have the money because Charleston wouldn't give it back to you. That's our point. Our point being the governor's point and my point. I'll say this as the state's chief financial officer. Amendment 2 is a catastrophe for the state's budget. We don't need to take on the county's expenses. We want you to get the property tax revenue and you take care of the county expenses. Now that being said, I see that the state police car has arrived, and you know, Babydog's got to be a rock star anymore, okay? She's got her own seat, her own bottled water, she's got her own music, the whole thing. So when Babydog comes in, it's not when the governor comes in that I sit down. When Babydog comes in that door, that's my cue. So again, I see everybody's coming out there. I can actually see outside for once, so I know when the governor's here. He should be here any second here. Let me see. Ladies and gentlemen, the governor that has taken us from a deficit position to a record surplus, a governor that is here to tell you the truth, the 36th governor of the state of West Virginia, who appears to be taking a cell phone call.
Yeah, the dogs get hungry. The dog is kitchen.
The 36th governor of the state of West Virginia, the Honorable Jim Justice.
y'all 101 would rather see Babydog than me. Oh, forgive me for sitting down. I guess I would sit on this baby. Without this, I've got my back fired up some way. I don't know how to. Whoa, if that rascal's hurting. Okay. We'll make this as painless as we can make it and everything, and as quick as we possibly can too. And then I'll ask you to ask me anything you want to ask. Here's the deal. In very, very short order, you're going to be, and well, let me clean this up too. When we're done, I'll sit right here, and Babydog will sit right here, and we'll put her up here on something where she's up a little higher, maybe in that chair. And if you want to come up and say hi to Babydog, you can come up and say hi to Babydog. We'll get that off the table. Amen. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to put my arm right here. So anyway, here's the deal on Amendment 2. You know, first of all, how did it come into being? Well, it came into being, to me, as innocent as it could possibly be. I mean, the legislature, not a bunch of bad ladies and men, they just decided on their own that they felt like they wanted to have the ability to get out on the ballot a mechanism where they could change tax law if they wanted to. Now, a lot of great legislatures said, seems like no bad thing. We'll just vote for that and everything. And so they passed a resolution, the House and Senate. It doesn't come to me. It's just a resolution between them and they pass it. Now, from my standpoint, I didn't think anything about it. I just didn't think a thing about it. And all I can do with you today is just tell you the truth. I mean, that's the one thing I'll stand on no matter what. I'll tell you the truth. So I don't think anything about it. So then, at the end of June rather, we have these ungodly surpluses that are going on. The state's doing really good, and everybody's dancing in the street. It's happy time in West Virginia, really happy time. Now, we've still got some people really hurting, and we want to try to help them. We still want to do lots of good stuff. But we've got $1,308 million surplus in West Virginia. My God, are you kidding me? I mean, really and truly. Now, anybody can say what they want. Now, listen, I'm a business guy, and I truly get the numbers. And I'm telling you, to God above, no matter what anybody in the world says, the day I walked in down there, we were bankrupt. There's no way around it. The state of West Virginia was dead level, DOA, the end, period. Now, what have we done for the last few years previous to me coming into the scene? And I don't want to take all the credit for this in any way, because lots and lots of people pulled the rope, but the primary that pulled the rope to me is we've witnessed a miracle from God above, and I mean it. What has happened to the state of West Virginia is unbelievable. Now, if you'll just think and be fair, they hand me the books and they say, you're in the middle of the year. The year started on July 1st, that's January. They hand me the books and they say, we're going to be $217 million short this year. Well, $217 million for West Virginia is like all the money on the planet. And I said, well, that can't be. You're supposed to have a constitutional amendment to have a balanced budget. I mean, there's no way, that can't be. And what's happened? And they said, well, the revenue just didn't come in on what we thought. And I said, well, what in the world are we going to do? Well, we don't know, Governor. What are we going to do? That man right there is telling me this. And I said, well, do you have a rainy day fund? Can you take it? No, we can't do that. We've already done that the last 2 or 3 years. And we got a rainy day fund down to a level now to where our bonds are getting ready to be derated. Now that's exactly fact. And then right behind that, Governor, that's not all the bad news. The bad news on top of that is you're going to be 497 million short to next year. And then after a couple more years, you're going to be another $772 million short. Well, I said, for God's sakes, my very words, I said, this state's bankrupt. And I said, what is anybody proposing to do? And I'll quit this, all that was proposed over and over and over and over was cut. You see, there's certain people that believe, and they're short-sighted, they're not right. Certain people believe that no matter if you have 10,000 people working in government or you have 2, if you got 2, you've got 1 too many. So let's just get rid of it. Let's just cut. And the more we cut, the more people left. Now say what you want, but that's exactly fact. Now I am not many things in this world, but I am a numbers guy, and I'm a business guy. So when more people left, you just drug the hole with you. You couldn't get away from it. There's no way to get away from it. So we had to do some stuff. So we did lots and lots and lots of stuff. And lo and behold, I give credit first and foremost to God, but it worked. And all of a sudden, boom, 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 everything's happening. Whether it be tourism or high tech or whatever it may be, the roads to prosperity, what we did, for our parks, the vets, boom, 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 it's just working. And before you know it now, we've got $1,308 million surplus, and it's July 1st. And I say, look, you got $5 gasoline, you got grocery prices through the roof, you got everyday folks that are really, really, really hurting. And we got to do something. We got to do something right this minute, right now. We got to get some money back in the hands of our people. And to be perfectly honest, I'm gun shy about, just saying, well, let's do this or that, because I don't know. I don't know if we'll get it through or not. But then it was proposed to me, let's do 10%. 10%. 254 million, we can get out the door tomorrow. We can be right in the ARPA regulations, right in the requirements, just right. We can get it out the door tomorrow. Now, fact, you got a Republican majority in the House and the Senate overwhelmingly, and a Republican governor. And I'm proud of my values through and through. But I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican or independent, and never have. Because I believe there's enough people on the outside that throw rocks at us, and we don't need to throw rocks at one another all the time. Now, and so with all that being said, there's no way in the world that Republicans are going to turn their nose up on giving a tax break to the people. There's no way. So I call a special session, and one day the House passes it. And the very next day I figured the Senate's going to pass it, and it just stopped. It stopped. Well, I had no clue. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it stopped. And I kept digging and digging, and the more you dig, the nastier it gets. Now say what you want, but the nastier it gets. Now, so, here's the straight skinny. What's happened along the way is you've got the definition of what I would call the swamp. If you're fair, in D.C., what happens in D.C. is elected officials are approached by lobbyists that got real money, got campaign promises and everything else under the sun, real money. And they're trying to buy influence or buy vote or whatever it may be. Now, and then, who's employing the lobbyists? What's the special interest group? It's the Sierra Club, or it's big business, or whatever it may be. That's the swamp. It is. It plain is. So how in the world could we get on this path of this Amendment 2 Where did it come from? What really happened? It's just that. Promises. You know, we're going to back you in your gubernatorial campaign. We're going to back you in this. We're going to do that. We've got these perks. We got this. We got that and everything. And who's driving it? You know, it's big business is the primary driver. Now, that's exactly what's going on. Now, we can say what we want, but you'll never convince me any to the contrary. So, you've got a couple people in the Senate that are primary drivers. The Senate never voted. And literally now you've got Amendment 2. And here's what you got. You got those same folks out there that are walking around, I call Toby and Edith all the time. And they're hurting. Inflation is eating them up. And we've decided that they don't matter. Well, they matter to me. That's all there is to it. The next thing is, you've got a situation going on to where all of a sudden we put with this Amendment 2, and here's how we couched it. We said, vote for Amendment 2 and get rid of your car tax. That's what we did. Now, in all honesty, all that was done, and we bragged about it. Not me. But people went around bragging about it. You know, we put that with it. We're so smart, they can't possibly vote against this now. No way. Guarantee it. They basically bought your vote and deceived you. Now, I promise you I'm right. I'm as right as I know I can possibly be. So, they got you hooked. And absolutely, you've become an addict. You know, they got you hooked because you want rid of your car tax and you don't have any idea what Amendment 2 is really even about. Amendment 2 is changing the Constitution and giving Charleston all the power. Amendment 2, basically, is just simply just this. When you change the Constitution and Charleston's got the power and you dry up your revenue stream to this county, then the only way you're going to get funding for the county is go to Charleston in February and beg for it. You're not going to get the funding any other way. Now you have the right to vote against this right now. And if you do, then you keep the funding in your county and you run your affairs as you see fit versus believing that Charleston knows best about everything. Now in my world, I would just say this to you. I know a lot about this. Who in this room benefits more from Amendment 2 than anybody in the room? You. It's me. Guarantee it. To the tune of millions. Millions that'll come to me. And I'm the one sitting here telling you don't do it. Because you see, I didn't sign up for that. I really did sign up to be your governor. And I don't want anything. I drive myself, I feed myself, I don't take a salary, I don't want anything. Absolutely, I'm doing it just like our forefathers did it when they stepped up to serve. There's a lot of crap with this job. You get investigated by the federal government, you get this, you get that, and everything. You go through a year and a half of hell on wheels, and they find zero. Zero. And then what do? They just stop. They don't apologize or tell you anything. No, just stop. Well, okay. Well, there's a lot of crap. But there's a lot of honor too. And at the end of the day, I really believe we've done great, and we're going to continue to do great unless we blow our legs off. You may say, well, why am I here? For crying out loud, I've got lots of things I'd love to be doing. Why am I here? I really believe it's the most important thing that I have ever dealt with in the entire years of my governorship. And I do. And if you don't think that, you're really missing something. Because what we've decided to do is give ungodly tax break to great, big businesses, primarily. We have absolutely decided to turn our back on Toby and Edith out there that are really hurt. And we've decided to put a stake in the heart of getting rid of your personal income tax forever that will drive real growth to West Virginia. And we've decided to take all your control, local control, and give it to Charleston. Let me tell you this, if that isn't bad enough, first of all, if that's not bad enough, in my opinion, you're just not thinking right. I'll be respectful, but you're just not thinking right. But if that isn't bad enough, let me tell you exactly what's going to happen. First of all, what happens when dupe happens along the way? And it will. Without any question, it'll happen. We'll have bumps in the road. Now, I probably won't be your governor because there's a good chance it won't happen before I'm done. Be fair again. What am I here doing? For crying out loud, I could just keep my head down, go to every parade, cut every ribbon. You would love me beyond good sense. You would probably stand there and say, greatest governor of all time. And yet I'm here. And I could be dancing all the way to the bank with the money that I'm going to get every year. Every single year. Millions. Every year. But I'm here because I mean it when I tell you I love you. And I mean it when, and my dad would always say this, he would say, son, if you know and God above knows, that's all that matters. Well, I know what I'm telling you is the truth. But listen to this. Just think, dupe will happen. It probably won't happen in the very near term. But I can be ridiculous to make my point and just say just this, and maybe it's ridiculous and maybe it's not. What happens if we go out there and get in our cars when we leave here, turn the radio on, and Putin has put off a nuclear weapon in Ukraine? Now, I know that I don't believe that's going to happen, and I want to clarify that. That's an extreme. But what happens if that happens in 10 seconds here? The stock market will go to 9,000, guaranteed. Absolutely, it would be the god-awfulest mess you've ever seen. Rainy day fund will not be able to maintain itself with its investments because its investments would shoot. Your 401ks would shoot. Dupe happens. That's all there is to it. If you don't think that, what if we want to give pay raises to our employees? What if we want to help our teachers out? What if we want PEI goes upside down? What if Medicaid goes upside down? What if we have matching dollars from the federal government that they say, you put up $100 million, we'll put up $1,800 million. And literally, we can't do it unless we turn upside down. And if we turn upside down, and here's the punchline. Get this one now. We turn upside down and you're down there begging for your funding for your police and firemen and all that get up. And you will. Guarantee you will. You have to do that. Because Charleston controls. Charleston knows best. Now this is the guy's name is not real popular in this area, but Bobby Pruitt, the coach at Marshall, but Bobby Pruitt said it the best that I could possibly say it. And then he said, this is nothing different than y'all give me all your money. I'm a politician. We're all politicians. Babydog and I are politicians. Y'all give us your wallets and give us all your money. And give us all your money that you still got coming in. Give us all your money and we promise we'll give it back. Now, if you believe that, you're crazy. You're completely crazy. And that's what you're doing. You're going to give up control. Now, 2 more points real quick. The car tax is gone. The car tax is not involved in Amendment 2 anymore. I came up with a way with this man right here to rebate you back dollar for dollar, cent for cent for your car tax, because that is important to you. It's gone. You will get that back instantaneously. I would send that up in a special session tomorrow if they agreed to sign on to do it. But if this fails, they won't have any choice but to do it. Because they're not suicidal. They all want reelected. And literally, if this goes down and the bill's done, you can go online, look at the bill, read the bill and everything else. The bill's done. It'll be my first bill to the legislature as soon as we go into session. And what it says is your car tax will be rebated back to you immediately. Most of it will be electronic. It'll just happen in minutes. But immediately your car tax will be rebated back to you. And you know, upon their passage, it'll be rebated immediately right back to you. And like I said, 87% of the folks are doing it electronically, and it'll be retroactive back to January of 2022. Now, there's no way the delegates or senators are going to say no to that. There's no way. Amendment 2 blows up. There's no way they're going to say no. So the car tax now is out of the Amendment 2 discussion. So now the Amendment 2 discussion is about changing the Constitution, you losing control. Now here's the punchline at the very end. Let's just say dupe happens, no matter what. Let's say, as we all know, that coal and oil and gas, you know, you have boom, bust, and everything, and prices drop way off and everything, and severance dollars go poof and all that. What if dupe happens? I don't care what it is. What if that happens? Here's exactly what will happen. You will not have adequate funding for your county. And you won't. And then the county, in order to be able to survive, will have to raise your assessment on your property taxes. You hadn't thought about that one. But that absolutely will happen just as sure as Jimmy is sitting here. Today, your property taxes are probably assessed at 60% of the value. If you go belly up here and you got a problem to fund the police and the schools and the firemen and everybody that goes with it, they will have to raise that percentage of assessment to 80 or 90. And you're going to pay more. That's all there is to it. So, I am telling you, and I can go through the points from a mile high, but I can tell you this was cloaked under darkness. For a year and a half, people went around and talked to county commissions and talked to boards of education, and we didn't know it. I didn't know it. And then all of a sudden it was exposed in July. You know, boom, give money back to the people. Well, we can't. And the reason we can't, we need all the money. You know, and then right behind all that, now you're voting for a constitutional amendment that you've been couched as a car tax that's going to take all the local control away. We're leaving Edith and Toby to the sideline. You have a real, because the personal income tax will be stabbed in the heart forever. The very thing that could drive growth to us like nobody's business. We need people in West Virginia. For crying out loud, on top of all that, think about the companies that are coming. Berkshire Hathaway, Nucor, Green Power, and Pure Watercraft, on and on and on. Now look, I take big time pride in this, big time. I'll tell you the truth. I have not, to God above, it's serious business with me when I speak of God. But absolutely, to God above, I have never had the first company tell me, well, we'd come to West Virginia if you get rid of that machinery and inventory tax. Nobody's ever mentioned it. Why, and forgive me, but why in the hell are we doing that? It's a swamp. It's a swamp. You know, we're doing it because we promised people, promised the lobbyists, we promised. And we can't get away from it. That's exactly why we're doing it. And literally, at the end of the day, you're really good people. You're really, really the very, very best people, in my opinion. West Virginia has finally become the diamond in the rough that everybody missed. West Virginia is really, can you imagine worldwide publications that are saying West Virginia is the travel destination to go to, second in the world or whatever? Can you imagine that? Who in the world would have ever thunk it? Forever and ever, all we were in many cases was the blunt end of bad jokes. And now look at us. And look at all the greatness that you're doing right here. And really and truly, there's so many out there that don't know. Now I'm getting ready to ask you, for you to ask me anything you want to ask. But if you believe in what I'm telling you, you best better get to work. Because absolutely this can pass. And if it passes, you're toast. And you know what else? From my standpoint, I can't win. I can't lose. I'm here to do my job. I'm here to tell you what can happen. If you vote for this, I'll respect it all the way to the bank. I will. You absolutely will give me millions of dollars. And I'll respect your wishes. And then I'll run into you. And then I'll be gone. I won't be your governor. I'll be gone. And when I'm gone, I'll run into you at Walmart. And when I run into you at Walmart, I'll look right at you and say, I told you so. My last words are this. Everywhere I go, first, people, you can see, they just didn't know. Neither did I. You just didn't know. You had a lot of delegates and senators never got to vote. But you had a lot of delegates and everything, and truly, it was so benign. It seemed that way, but it's not. It was benign to me, but it's not. So here's what you see. The first thing you see is people that didn't know. And then you see people that now know. And then you see people being mad. And I will tell you, and you mark it down, and you remember this guy that's sitting beside this stool, that literally, you don't forget this. Absolutely, honest to God, please don't ever forget this. If you're not mad today, you will be. And you better remember that. And you better not run into me in Walmart, because I'll look right at you and tell you I told you so. Because you will be mad. You'll be really mad. Because dupe will happen. And when dupe happens, you'll be toast. And it'll be the god-awful mess you have ever blooming seen. If you believe that these surpluses are going to last forever and ever, it's just going to be forever and ever and ever, and inflation is not going to increase the cost of what we're doing going along. If you believe that absolutely we're going to be able to maintain an absolute flat budget forever and not have any increases in the budget, and the surpluses are going to be there forevermore, then you're nuts. You're nuts if you believe that. You know, so, ask me anything you want to ask. Yes, sir.
Mr. Governor, I'm Mr. Golf Jack in West Virginia. We are one of the biggest train people in West Virginia. Have you heard anything about the engineers and conductors going on strike?
No, there's a big hoopla about what was going to happen here about a month and a half ago. And then it seemed to be semi-diffused. Now, I can tell you that my sons and my daughter, but my son's companies are involved with the railroad an awful lot. You know, we don't talk about this stuff every day by any stretch of the imagination, but it seems to me like if this was at DEFCON 15, that maybe, just maybe, one of them would have said something to me, but I don't know much about what you're talking about right now. I'm sorry. But I can tell you it'd be, listen, I know we got a lot of good, sound Democrats here. And I said before, I don't care either way. I'm not a fan of what's going on in DC today. You know, you can't put me there at all in any way. I really think that, I think our president, you know, and I'm super respectful to the presidency of the United States all the time, but I think our president has lost his way in many situations. And if we don't straighten ourselves up and get on balance, and get on balance pretty quickly, it could be, who knows what could happen. If we get that happening, it'll really be bad. Yes, sir.
Tom Bloom, President of Mon County, and on behalf of Sean Secor, who's here, and Jeff Arnett. First, we really appreciate you coming here, especially on the first day of voting. It was really important to us to see that you supported our position, and we're right along with you. We have two Democrats and a Republican, and you are correct. This issue is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is a West Virginia issue, and the bottom line being, trust us later or guarantee what we have now. And you're in a building right now that's the Mon County Center that is not only promoting agriculture, but we have a $500 million innovative kitchen that is teaching people how to take the West Virginia products and then putting it back and giving it to the students in food. We want to thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And anything that we can do to work with you to have the people vote no and get that message out, we want to thank you.
Thank you. Well, let me tell you, just let me comment real quick. Look, they had a year head start on us. They really did. They had a year head start on me. You know, I've gone multiple places every single day in the last 3 or 4 weeks to try to just at least present the education of what's getting ready to happen. All of you know many folks in your lives. And if you believe, as this gentleman, as myself, as this gentleman, as Babydog, she's even got her own sign. But if you believe, as we believe that this, it is, look, everybody needs to totally understand, it's not that I am anti-big business, that's crazy. We need big business. We need out-of-state big business. We welcome with open arms in every way. This is not about that at all. But what we need more than anything is, and I talk pretty plain, but this is your egg-sucking money. You made the surpluses. And we don't need to walk off and leave Toby and Edith just standing there trying to figure out how they're going to buy their groceries. We need to give money in their pocket. We'll do some of that with the car tax. But we need to give more money to them. And then, to me, the problem is the order in how we're doing it. You see, if what we did is we found a methodology to where we didn't have to change the Constitution, to where you kept control, and we gave the car tax back right off the get-go, and we did that as a rebate. We never changed the Constitution where you keep control. And then we started down the pathway, not completely, but the pathway to getting rid of your personal income tax. That puts money in our system, in our people's hands. Well, no, wait just one second. When they get the money, what are they going to do? They're going to spend it here. Then we become our own stimulus package. So now what have we done? We got rid of the car tax, we didn't change the Constitution, and we gave our folks money to where they're spending it here and there our stimulus package. Okay, and then at that point in time, we just paused just a little bit. The state's right side up. We still got surpluses to recruit business and everything. The state's right side up, and all we do is pause and breathe. And then, if things are still really good, we can go and cut off a piece of the machinery and inventory tax. And then, if things are really good, we can cut off some more of it. Look, I'm the business guy. I'm the business guy. That's how this should be done. But it wasn't done that way because we tried to buy and vote, and we tried to do something for the benefit of self. We did it to run for the next office or whatever it may be. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. My name is Barbara Vice and I'm a delegate representing this county. I want to thank you for the effort that you're making to defeat this amendment. It is fiscally irresponsible, and you are really working, and David, thank you for figuring out how to give back a rebate in a better way. This is very dangerous for our county and for every county, for our school system. I'm very, very worried about the school system, but I think this is on a fast track, and I really, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate that you're taking a strong stand and making the effort to go everywhere and explain it to people, because it's not easy to understand. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Mark Busey. I'm the assessor here in Mon County. And one thing that we have found, you kind of clear, to make a little bit of clearance there in your part, the taxes for the cars doesn't automatically go away if amendment 2. I think that's a misconception for a lot of the people out there. We have into our office, I know our sheriff's tax office has had that increases for last year that they pay. And hoping that more people, when they're out there done with our presentation, when they get our county groups, but in other counties, we're trying to send that message, and hope others send that message, that it doesn't automatically eliminate the car tax or this sort of tax. It's just giving current and future legislators the authority to look at it. So, for your, as I call it, the A2 work that you put on, and that emphasis more and more on, it doesn't eliminate them, it just gives them back the so people can fully understand. I think if they understand that concept of it, it changes their mind. They think automatically that tax will be okay.
Well, it's a good point. It's a very good point, and just think about just what's been said. If you pass Amendment 2, the car tax go away automatically. What doesn't? If you pass Amendment 2, really and truly, you're a free game then. I mean, on anything, you know. But if you pass Amendment 2, just think about it. And the House and the Senate start bickering with one another, it may very well be that the car tax never gets gone. Never. And maybe it's just machinery and inventory that gets gone, and really at the end of the day, you don't even get your car tax gone. That's a possibility. And what Brother Dave and I have come up with, the car tax will get gone in the form of a rebate, and the county will be kept whole. I mean, just think about this. Think about it. I mean, what if I were to say this to you? You love your school, okay? And there's money coming to the school, and it's coming from your taxes. What if I were to say to you, we got two choices. We can just cut the school off, or let your money still school. You've got to take 35 seconds to do a thing, and the state will give you all of your money back. That's what I'm doing. School keeps the money, and you get your money back from the surpluses. You get your money back, guaranteed. We don't have to fight with the legislature and all that stuff. You get your money back. Well, and you don't have to change the Constitution. You don't have to do all this other stuff. I mean, for crying out loud, it's, and all they can come out with to rebut that, all they can say is, that's going to layer in more government stuff. I mean, gee, Christmas. It's so lame, it's unbelievable, but anyway. Ask me something else, please. Sir?
Yes, this is more of a comment. So my name is Ron Justice. In my role, I'm president of this Bible Park Foundation Board. And I just want to make a comment. Thank you for all the support that you've given our county, specifically this facility and our facilities here. I remember back in 2016 talking to you and showing you the plan for the Aquatic Center up there. You said, that's thinking big, and you were very supportive. And fast forward, we had a tourism opportunity with this campground, and you had your folks working with us to make that a reality. The next facility came along, same thing, great support. And what we've learned over that time is, and again, without your leadership, we wouldn't have realized those things here for us in this county, that what you say, we built a relationship, we can trust that. And that's very important to us. So I just want to thank you for everything that you've done for us up here and continue to do. In fact, the governor made an announcement that we're trying to get an Olympic event here in this park. He went above and beyond, reaching out to try to make that. I think that's going to become I hope it's going to become a reality. Put a personal note in the envelope that we sent and all that. So my point is, we can't thank you enough for all the support. We trust your message, and thank you for being here. On a lighter note, Dr. Campbell's here, and I know your basketball season is all scheduled out, but we have a new basketball facility here. We'd like to invite you up, bring your team up in June in those flex days, and Dr. Campbell will probably help us put something together, right? Okay, absolutely.
Okay, that'll be good. We'll do it. That'll be fun. We'll do it. Well, listen, well, thank you, sir. Thank you for all you've done. And, I mean, so many people here, and so many people are not here, but you just think really what you've done. I mean, at the end of the day, sure, you know, I've tried to do the very best I can possibly do as your governor, and I've tried to make the best decisions that I can make. And by God above, we've punched the right button more times than we've not. And sure, things are pretty daggone good. But at the end of the day, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, you're the reason that we're going. You've pulled the rope through the pandemic. You've absolutely done things in your areas here that are unbelievable. Unbelievable what's going on. What's going on right here in this county, what's going on at the university, what's going on here is unbelievable. You are true champions and true heroes in a lot of ways. A bunch of you probably run to the fire in this pandemic and run every day. And with all that being said, on top of that, if that isn't enough, you probably know people, or maybe even your own family, that you've lost loved ones. And it's been all tough, really tough. And so absolutely you should be so proud. You're the very best. I mean, to me it was always easy being the governor from the standpoint of just this. The outside world didn't think much of us. But really, I always knew that you're the faith-based people, you're the neighbors, you're the loving people, you're the appreciative people, you're the craftsmen, you're all the low crime. You're everything that they would really want to be if we could just tell them. It was like we were in a glass bubble and couldn't tell them. And then on top of all that, think of the proximity to the population that you are, the seasons you have. It is unflat believable how you abound in natural resources, but not just coal and oil and gas, but water and timber and on and on and on and on. It was you all the time. You just had this big giant guy here that believed it with all of his soul. I tell this story all the time. It's really worth you hearing. I was doing the Greenbrier Classic golf tournament, you know, and Jim Nance was interviewing me. I didn't have one clue of running for governor. I mean, I never thought of it in a million trillion years. You know, and Jim Nance was interviewing me, I was talking about West Virginia. And then all of a sudden I'm out on the golf course and I'm watching the players and all that kind of stuff, and this little guy, old guy, comes up to me and he's trembling. And he reaches his hands out and grabs my hands. And these big tears are just running down his face. And he says to me, he says, I'm Bob, whatever, and I can't remember his name, and I've thought 1,000 times about it. You know, and literally at the end of the day, he says, I'm Bob, whatever, and thank you for making me feel proud of who I am as a West Virginian. Well, you just think about it. Think about it. We've carried our heads too low too long. We know how good we are. Last thing I tell you just is, think about this little bulldog. You know, our son and daughter gave her to us on Christmas before ago. She's just turned 3 years old. You know, when she was running around everywhere, and I've told people this story 1,000 times, but our grandson, who was 2 at the time, just a little baby, he would continue to ask, where did that baby dog go? And so we named her Babydog, you know, and then from time to time I'd have her with me, and when you looked at her, she made you smile. And this pandemic was terrible. And if you're me, you know, you've read right at 7,500 people's names, basically. And that's tough, because you know all those families have hurt and their loved ones. It's tough. It's just plain tough. And then I would have her with me from time to time, and I would see the fact that it did not matter. I mean, she's supposed to be a bulldog. She's not just supposed to like everybody coming or going, but she did. And it didn't matter if you were young or old, or men or women, or rich or poor, or Republican or Democrat. It did not matter. Black, white, didn't matter. She loves everybody. I say it so many times, but we should hear this all the time. If in this life you can make others smile, and you loved everybody, wouldn't it be a hell of a lot better world? And it would be, for all of us. So that's what she did. And I really believe that she is the definition of coincidence, an everyday occurrence in which God chooses to remain anonymous. Because she's made us smile, and she's absolutely in love with all of us all the time. So, listen, just please remember, if I didn't do anything other than just this today, please remember how great you really are, and how good you've done. And then I'd ask you, please don't blow your own legs off here, because you don't want to see me at Walmart. That's all I got. Thank you so much for coming.